Welcome back to the Gone for 10 show. The finals race is heating up. We're down to the final two rounds kicking off this weekend. There were a few blowouts last weekend. There were a few big wins. I'm happy. You're happy. Once again, I
Always.
am joined by Baxter. Baxter, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very well.
Very well. That's what we like to hear. Obviously, the Cowboys are still sitting in second place. That minor premiership dream has been dashed with the Rabbitohs dropping points to Penrith on the weekend. But let's just go, obviously, before we jump into the quick fire rapid review, just a bit of the breaking news. Obviously, you sent me a picture about 15, 20 minutes ago. Baxter, James Tarmow. Do you want to let the listeners know what's going on with that?
Yeah, James Talmo has been successfully downgraded his charge, so he will be able to play in the last round for the Tigers at Leichhardt Oval against the Canberra Raiders. So, as you said, it's a very dangerous precedent that they're set here, and I can't disagree with you there because what is it? Are you allowed to call a ref whatever you want and then sort of play the nice guy and get only a week off? So it is what it is.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Move on.
Obviously, it is a bit of a weird one. Obviously, Brendan Smith was given 3 weeks. I guess Tarmow's gone in there. He does have a better record than Smith. He probably has pleaded that it's arguably going to be his last game, so he does want that send-off. He did have the likes of Mark Geyer and all those big NRL commentators, critics, whatever you want to call them. He did have them on his side. So obviously, we did say and we have said, it is a dangerous precedence now. What's stopping me in 5 years' time if I'm playing in a semi-final? I knock someone out, I've got a grand final next week, and I go, oh, well, I'm going to retire next year, so let me play in the grand final. So it is a bit wishy-washy, but we'll obviously talk more about what was said when we do go through this quick fire review. But obviously kicking it off with the Rabbitohs 22, the Panthers 26, minor premiership, sealed, delivered. It will be presented to them this Friday versus the Warriors at the foot of the mountain. Baxter, your thoughts on this game? Did you think Panthers were too good, or was it the Rabbits just didn't really click into that top gear?
Oh, I don't think the Panthers actually deserved to win that game. They were sort of out of it. They had a couple of disallowed tries with Martin dropping the ball over the line. So I didn't think they deserved to win, but neither did Penrith. Neither did the Rabbits. So it was sort of who got there in the end. And obviously Penrith wanted it more, and they can sort of rest the players coming into this week and next week.
Well, obviously, we say that, and we will touch out, obviously, on the next episode. Jarome Luai has been named to play, so they have gone away from that rest inside of Finns, but obviously, like you said, the minor premiership sealed and delivered. Maybe they'll try and get a bit of, I guess, play under those legs of the players that have been out. I want to talk about one player here. It is Dylan Edwards. How important is Dylan Edwards to this side? Now, I know Nathan Cleary will be back. Jarome Luai will be back, but Edwards just seems to be that almost, if you were talking NFL, he's that quarterback just kind of pointing directions going, Cleary, catch his ball, Cleary, kick this ball, Cleary, do this, and I'll kind of look at the whole back line. So what are your thoughts on Edwards?
I will say I've changed my tune on Edwards. Obviously, for many years, I always used to think he was this overrated fullback, just playing, sort of just making up the numbers for a Penrith side. Obviously, last year and this year, he's proven me otherwise, and I'm happy to eat the apple pie that I've created for him because he's been one of those good players from Penrith, especially when you got Luai and Cleary out of your side. He's stepped up and shown why he's a senior role in that club there, and I will eat it. And look, he's knocking on the door for New South Wales if he keeps it up, and try and put him in there.
100%. Obviously, again, congratulations to the Penrith Panthers on wrapping up the minor premiership with obviously 2 weeks to go. I think it would have been done a lot quicker, obviously, if they didn't have those injuries and suspensions. But we'll move into the 6 p.m. Friday night game. It was your boys, the Cowboys, 48, down in the Warriors 4. The less said about the Warriors, the better. They weren't playing in Auckland, so let's talk about the Cowboys. They played brilliant. They put points on the board. It was a bit of a theme this weekend. What were your thoughts on your side, and who impressed you, I guess, in a game that wasn't really challenging?
No, it was just a really good game. Obviously, a lot of games blew out. So sort of the top ranking teams obviously put their footmark on the ladder there and try and cement that second place. Obviously, I don't think you've touched on it, but Tom Dearden has now got a ruptured testicle, so he's looking at about 2 weeks on the sideline. He's definitely out for this weekend. I won't rush him back for round 25 and just ease him back into the first week of the finals, which is 3 weeks away. So it was good to see. All the boys stood up. I couldn't. If I had to pick out one player, I can't. They all were terrific in their own sense, and it's just another scrap for the Warriors to look at.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, I guess while she gets brought back down to earth after a big game versus the Dogs the week before. But yeah, Cowboys, they were impressive. We'll start to see what they do without, obviously, Dearden. Again, we'll touch on it in the next one. Drinkwater will move into that halves partnership. Hammer will go back to fullback. So it's still an exciting time if you are a Cowboys fan. I think, like you said, the most important thing is let's not rush him back, but let's also try and secure this top 2 finish. Obviously, they do have the Rabbitohs coming up this weekend, but we'll jump straight into a game that probably shocked everyone. It was a late game on Friday night. It was the Melbourne Storm 60-12 versus Brisbane. And now we spoke off air. We said we weren't going to go into too much detail on the teams that did get smashed, but I'm going to make Brisbane that exception because they are still in the top 8. They still do have a chance to drop out. What were your thoughts in this game? Was it the Storm are just way too good, or is it Brisbane just being Brisbane of the past?
Yeah, I think Storm were just too good there. Obviously, it was the 24 times they've been there. They've won it 21 times before Friday night. So record still stands there. But for the Broncos' sake, they're glad that it wasn't more of a blowout because now they've only got a 21-point positive for and against here. And come finals, like if you look at the ladder, they're only 2 points away from the Canberra Raiders, but they've got a negative for and against of 25. So that's the only saving grace. But it was sort of a weird one for Broncos. I don't know why they couldn't put up more of a fight against this Storm side, made a more of a respectable scoreline, like maybe 30-12 or 24-12 or something like that. But I don't understand. But yeah, as you can see on the screens there, you got Broncos at 8th and Raiders at 9th. All it takes is Raiders to have these 2 easy games coming up, which they have Manly at home and then the Tigers at Leichhardt in round 25. They're 2 easy games for them. And Broncos, they've got the Eels and Dragons, so it's not an easy run home for them. So they could push out of the 8 and an early Mad Monday for them.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it did break about 15 minutes ago. The Storm have put on Twitter, they've put that little sign and emoji and said there is a big announcement to come tomorrow now. I'm siding more towards it's not Cameron Munster. I'm siding towards it's probably going to be Nofaluma. I reckon he is going to sign a deal there. He's going to ink a deal to stay there. However,
that's my rumor.
In a real possibility, it could be Cameron Munster. It could be a double signing. We don't know, but obviously that is breaking news. We'll cover it. We will get something on socials once we know a little bit more of what's going on. But moving obviously on to Super Saturday in this rapid review, there was a lot of points scored. There was a lot of points scored on Saturday. It started off with the Eels 42 to the Bulldogs 6. On the Bulldogs, a lot of work to do. They have a bit of a direction. Potter has had them playing better, but obviously Serrato will come in. He'll bring players in. He'll clear players out. But Baxter, talk to me about the Eels. Obviously, Dylan Brown, Mitchell Moses, Gufferson, Sivo on the win. Is this a team that, again, if they can stay consistent, can they challenge for a title come September?
No, I don't think they can challenge it just based on this season alone. Like they step up against Penrith, win it both times, and then they go down a Storm and win there too. But then easy games like Tigers and Bulldogs earlier on in the season, they drop points. So even with the same players in, so it's not like you could say, oh, they've lost a player here or something. They're not consistent for me to put them in there. I think they're just making up the numbers of the finals. And again, they're only, they're 4 points from the drop, which is it's not that hard to lose out either. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, obviously it is definitely an interesting one coming up. We will touch on it shortly. The Raiders did keep their season alive, but if you're the Roosters, you're the Rabbitohs, you still have to play with each other. If you're the Eels, if you're the Broncos, they still have to play against each other. You'd almost be favouring the Raiders to sneak into that top 8, but obviously we'll move on. The 5:30 game, Saturday night, the blowouts continue, the 4th straight blowout. It is the Sea Eagles 6, the Sharks 40. For a team that wanted to wear a pride jersey a couple of weeks ago, some of them didn't. There was not a lot of pride. There was not a lot of pride showed in this game. The Sharks tore them apart. The Sharks all but secure that top 4 finish now. Obviously, the Eels are the closest. They are 4 points behind them. So I'm going to say the Sharks secure the top 4.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that the Sharks team could fall apart come finals, or do you think it's all done and dusted?
No, I'd say the top 4 as it is will remain top 4, whether that, Cowboys drop down to 4th, Sharks are 2nd or 3rd, and Storm wherever. I think those 4 teams are going to cement their top 4 position. Obviously, now you just got the race between the Cowboys, Sharks, and Storm to try and cement that 2nd spot, which gives you that home advantage for the finals. Now, doesn't matter who they face. Sharks will. I'm hoping they get the home final. They're down at Shark Park. It's a good venue. I don't know why they need to take it off them, but yeah, if it comes to that, maybe the Sharks should have it at Shark Park.
Well, I don't really know if you want them to have the home final, because that would mean that your boys do drop down to 3rd place. So it's either you play
or we play Penrith at Penrith, and whatever. I'd rather play on the opposite side of the Storm. I don't want to play Storm week 1.
Yeah, but you got to think this Penrith side have not had Cleary in their team for 5 weeks coming into that first round. You don't want to play Penrith because they're going to favour him and give him all those calls that he's missed out on.
Yeah, but he might be a click too late or a click too early, just being out for those 4 weeks. Now it can happen to anybody. You could it just couldn't click, and that's fine. You got 1 week of the finals. You can take a loss, but I just don't want to play Storm. If as a Cowboy, I don't want to play Storm because then I can obviously meet them in the final, and that'll be a better way to go about it.
Well, we will find out obviously a lot about the Storm. They did obviously smash the Broncos. They do have the Roosters coming up this weekend, so we will find out a lot about the Storm. But moving on, obviously, to that Roosters side, again, you're going to get those comments. You've already thrown it at me. It is just the West Tigers, but the Roosters 72-6. And I look at this scoreline, and I think the worst thing you can do if you're a Tigers fan is go back to the 20th minute when it was still 0-0. 72 points in 60 minutes of football. For a team that just built a center of excellence, I think they need to start training at a center of excellence, because there is nothing excellent about this West Tigers side. But again, the less said about that team, the better. They were shit. The defense was shithouse. But let's just talk about the Roosters quickly. Obviously, Butcher, 4 tries. I think I read somewhere, and he had 10 before this season even started. So 4 tries for Butcher. He's kind of overachieving since the injuries that the Roosters did have. Keary, Walker, they're playing brilliant together. Tedesco's playing that role that he needs to play. Manu and Suali are looking terrifying. Again, only the Tigers, but what do you make of this result for the Roosters? Obviously, being able to put 72 points on the board.
No, it's a great result for the Roosters, but as you say, it's just the Tigers. I got a guy at work, and he's like, "Oh, they should have scored 100 points." I said, "It doesn't matter if you score 100, if you win by 100, or you win by 1. You still only get 2 competition points, so it doesn't really matter." Come finals. Like right now, you sit at an easy. What's that?
Yeah, but put it this way: come finals, we've just won this game by 66 points. We are only 67 points now ahead of, obviously. We're 57 points ahead of the Rabbitohs on for and against. So this could be massive come the end of the season for us.
Yeah,
it's more than just 2 competition points.
For you, you got Storm. So you got Storm down there. So let's just say you lose by 12, and then you go against the Rabbits and they beat you by 30. You lose the home ground semi-final, and then you're back at
it's not about the home. We're out. If we lose both those games, we're arguably out of this final series. Because
I don't think so. I think depending on the other teams, like Broncos could lose to the Eels and then the Dragons, and then they're out. because the lesser of the for and against. So I say Roosters at worst you finish 7th, at best you finish 5th. And then you probably play Canberra or South Sydney. And I know which one I'll be taking, but that's your makeup. I think you're in a good comfort position right now, and you should just play on the back of it. You've got 2 hard games coming up, and you should just rest some players here and there.
All we have to, I don't think there's going to be any resting until we're secured. If we win this week against Storm, I think they'll see a few rested, but I don't think
you
we're in a
can't rest for
position.
the opening grandstand of the Allianz Stadium. You can't
But
rest.
we're not in a position to rest regardless. Like in the end, until we're secured, and you know what? Even if we were to somehow mathematically win this weekend, we move into 5th. We've seen what the Rabbits have done to us before. They've put 50 points on us. They've put 60 points on us. Raiders put up 2 big scores. We're in trouble there. But you know what? We'll move on. Let's just hope we knock off Storm. Let's hope we do them by like 40 and we jump into 4th or 2 points behind 4th place, and we'll be absolutely cheering. But moving on to obviously Sunday, it is the Dragons 46, the Titans 26. This was an entertaining game. Now, I looked at obviously Saturday night and Sunday night before this week when we did go through the preview last week. And I sat here and I went, oh my God, Saturday looks like an absolute show classic. Put all the good games on. And Sunday looks like I'm going to go to sleep early because it looks like an absolute shit afternoon of football. But obviously, as we can see here, there was 72 points scored in this match. Now, Baxter, Dragons were down to 10 men. At the time, it was a 6-point gap. They had enough resilience to turn around, win the game. Cool. Not about the result, but let's talk about Ben Hunt. Obviously, there is talks coming out. The Dragons are going to somewhat lowball him around that $700,000 to $750,000 a year.
He's already rejected it.
Well, he's already rejected them. There's up to
it's
6
teams. It's a 2-year extension around that 7 to 750. Apparently, he's knocking that back now. What the Dragons got to realize here, and I think it's more so Ben Hunt. He's 32 years old. Is he a 7? Is he the long-term 7, or is he the long-term 9? Now, if he's a 9, he's not worth that $1 million status that he's on right now at $1.2 million from off the top of my head. So, look, if he's a 9, he's about the 850. It'd be great. But if he's a 7, and that's something that the Dragons board and Ben Hunt need to talk about. And I think 700 is a bit of a low ball. And take what it is. These 2 teams played with pride on Sunday, and it was really good. Take what you want from it. Justin Holbrook to reshuffle for next year, and obviously Hook for his troops down there, Dragons.
Obviously, Ben Hunt, if you somehow are listening to this podcast, hello, Mr. Bennett. How much did you say you can pay me to come up there for the Dolphins? That's where I'd be going if I was Ben Hunt.
Well, there's a little bit more.
You're going to throw to Latrell and Cody Walker, aren't you? Is that the rumor you're putting up?
This is a rumor, but from what I'm hearing, and it was reported on NL360, I do watch it, yes, but I got told before that this is more the deal for Cody Walker and Latrell is actually it's got more flair to it. It's got a lot of more people that I'm hearing it from are talking more about it than the Cameron Munster. Because Munster is now looking more to re-sign with the Melbourne Storm. So it might look like Latrell and Cody Walker to the Dolphins, but I don't see a world where South Sydney Rabbitohs let go of Latrell. Maybe Walker, but I don't think they let go of Latrell at any stage this right now because he is so crucial to that South Sydney attack and defence line. So they'll be mad if they let him go.
But this is also something I was talking to a few mates ago, a few people, a few South Sydney fans, a few non-South Sydney fans. Cody Walker and Latrell are represented by the exact same agent. So if he wants a 3-year deal for Latrell, hypothetically, I feel like Souths are going to have to give Cody Walker a 3-year deal and the money if they want to keep them both. And maybe that's where the favoritism now goes towards the Dolphins because they have the money to go, you know what? We need Latrell. What does Cody Walker want? Done. Now we've got a competent number 7 too, rather than obviously a rookie going into that position next year.
Yeah. Well, Walker's apparently asking for a 2-year deal. Number for money, don't know, but they're looking about a 4 to 5 year contract extension for Latrell and about that $1 million mark.
Well, South Sydney fans, it's not looking like a good deal to get rid of Reynolds right now, is it? So maybe you should have got rid of Walker first, but we'll wrap up the rapid review. We'll move into the final game of that round. It is the Newcastle Knights 22, the Raiders 28.
Oh,
A story of two halves. Halftime, Knights 22, Raiders 8. I'm sitting here going, you beauty. I messaged a few people going, finals football, here we come. And as I hit send, I went, fuck, the
no.
Raiders are going to make a comeback, aren't they? And
No.
here they are.
Never
Obviously,
knock
Jack
down.
White and
Don't ever knock
Jack
down
White
Ricky. Never back down Ricky because he's the man. He can turn this Raiders team around and he will be crucial to their push into the finals. Obviously, I've already touched on they've got Manly this week and then the Tigers the week after at Leichhardt. So I was a bit, I was a bit nervous. I was a bit nervous, as you said. Like I had a multi on this, and Raiders, I love you. Getting up for my multi, it was great.
Obviously, let's talk about Newcastle here. Obviously, for the first 40 minutes, wow. We thought this is a Newcastle team that I copped a bit of hate for when I did put them in that 15th, 14th position. Flick forward into the second half, and I went, that's why I put you that far down the ladder. Now, yes, they're missing players. Yes, they've got injuries. Ponga, who knows if he's ever that's gone a bit quiet. That's a bit concerning since that drug test. That's all gone a bit quiet.
It had to get quiet. It had to very, very get quiet. And obviously for their drug test policy reasons why no one will ever find out if this is a positive nor a negative. And then obviously the second strike is a 12-week ban, and you'll know then that the first one was positive, but it had to go quiet. Peter Mann had to sort of silence a lot of things around there. You know, obviously the two boys being late for the bus. Apparently it was only 6 minutes. You know, the Clement situation, now the Ponga and Kurt Mann situation, just had to quieten everything down and had to sort of settle this shit because Adam O'Brien he's one of these coaches. I look down at the bottom of the ladder and he's one of those coaches in a team where he could be getting the sack come obviously the end of the season. But this team, I don't know where they've been hiding this form for that first 40 minutes. They were really, really good. And they need to just keep that momentum going on into next season and obviously finish off this season really well and show why they can be a threat next year if they can.
100%. And like we said, guys, obviously the Raiders do keep their season alive here. Ricky Stewart does do it again. There's 2 games to go. It's going to be a cracking finish this season. Obviously, this has been the round 23 quick fire rapid review. I'm just going to go for those listening. You might not be watching this. I'm going to go quickly down the ladder. First place is Penrith, second Cowboys, third Sharks, fourth Melbourne, wrapping up the top 4 there. Fifth Eels, sixth Roosters, seventh the Rabbitohs, eighth Brisbane Broncos, ninth Raiders, and probably the only team that still has a chance to make this top 8 outside the 8. 10th, the Dragons, 11th, the Seagulls, 12th, the Bulldogs, 13, the Warriors, 14, the Newcastle Knights, 15, the Titans, and 16, the West Tigers. Before we do wrap up, one question, Baxter. Who wins the wooden spoon? Is it the Titans? Is it the Tigers? Who's taking home the wooden spoon?
It's got to be the Tigers after this week's performance that's just gone past. So I don't think any team can survive a 72-point shellacking and not get the spoon. So unlucky Tigers. Hey, it'll go good. It'll go good in your new training excellence center. So you can put that up there, and that could be your first little trophy piece.
Well, there you go. The NRL might have thought that was punishment enough and Taumau to win the spoon in his last game. But obviously, Baxter, thank you again. We have been the Gone for 10 show. This has been our round 23 rapid review. And obviously, we'll be back with quick fire 8 episodes. We'll go through the match previews and we'll talk about the run home for each team. So, Baxter, thank you for joining me.
Peace.